Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is January the 26th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1443 on the ancient sun calendar, 2023 on the Greco-Roman calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. This is a sovereign living ancient, Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court Action. We are the Sovereign Living Justice. I am Sovereign Living Justice Pauline Denise Ritchie. My free chosen sovereign appellation is Light Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. All Moors are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient empire state for Morocco. We are the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We are ancient Washington District 4, Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Article 3 Moorish American Consular Court. Today, we are executing and exercising the law by our sovereign capacity, which is the original indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient, Article 3, living United States District 4 Columbia Court, and we are the sovereign fiduciaries, secured creditors, executors, trustees, ministers, possessors, and titled beneficiaries in this cause for action. We are peace, we are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby accept our sovereign ascension, issue a universal creditor's bill for possession and custody over all judgment debtors. We exercise all sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc. We want to briefly and quickly congratulate all of the Moors who have gotten thus far in our 40-day national fast. We are abstaining from consuming the flesh and blood of land animals to celebrate our knowing that we never left our land, that we have always been on the land, nunc pro tunc, and we always will be on the land. And by land animals, we mean, no animal that has walked on the land, such as chickens, turkeys, pigs, cows, etc. So we've been doing seafood and things of that nature, and things that grow from the earth for this last 35 days of our 40-day national fast, and we will continue on. Our fast does end on the 30th at midnight, which will actually be the beginning of the 31st. So we're extremely grateful and honored and pleased. Our fast started December 21st, and it ends between January 30th and 31st, depending on what time you started your fast. So with that being stated, I wanted to just show you really quickly that what is being put before us for us to just take note of and take a look at. We know that thank you in the chat. We know that we are the ancient of every nation. We were the first of every nation. We were the first of Israel. We're the first Hebrews. We're the first Moors, and all of those, are under the title of Moor, simply because there are Moorish Hebrews, Moorish Israelites, Moorish Americans, Moorish of all nations. And so I wanted to point out that in the last few years, there has been these banners for amity and commerce being put on the public record it had a yellow fringe by the Foreign fake state of Israel. Okay, and it was a war situation with the yellow fringe, and we know that we're not at war. But I wanted to point this out really quickly because I think it's important that we notice everything. You know, they have been pretending and acting as if they're us, but we are us. So just make a note, because they state who they are acting as in different ways, but there is always, as you can see, two of these are correct, with the stars going first. And actually, this one is really the only one that's actually correct, because it does not have the yellow fringe. But I just wanted to point that out, because, again, they have always known who the national government is. They've always known who we are. And there were actors who were pretending to be placeholders while we slept. Some call them proxies. I wouldn't call them that, because no one can take our place. So let's move on. We know that this banner for Amity and Commerce, they were giving us things to look at. Okay. Speaking of the dead corporate states, before the call started, we were discussing briefly some of the things going on in the dead corporate states as it implodes, and because it's finished, it's done. All of the dead corporate states are now passing codes to ensure that those who enact leaving the corporate states will never return. The dead state of California Corporation enacted saying that if anyone leaves their dead corporate state, that the dead corporate state will enact a tax on whatever is taken from them, and the tax is into perpetuity, as if they have perpetuity, because they really don't. But that's for those who don't know who they are. We have all left all dead corporate states. We actually never were a part of them. But we left the dead corporate states. Yes, indeed, I will open the meeting. We left dead corporate states. And we were only pretending to be a part of them in the first place. But now that we are awake and we are governing our own vast estate and our own capitalism, our own letters, our own numbers, sounds, etc., our appellations, we don't have these things to contend with. But I just wanted to make you aware, additionally, most of the dead corporate states have enacted things where babies can be aborted even after birth, thereby ending the bloodlines. They are stating their own death. That's what they're doing. So all are encouraged to come out of that dead state. All are encouraged to wake up. Okay. So with that being stated, just one moment. Let me make sure. So again, all are encouraged to come out of that dead situation there, and know that you're out of it. When you come out, know that you're out of it, so that you don't get confused about where you are. Okay, and you won't. It gets easier and easier the longer we do what we're doing. Okay, knowing who we are and where we are, knowing that we're on the land and that we always will be, is um, absolutely what we're getting accustomed to. We're settling down on the land. We're settling in to who we are and what we are, what we govern, rather. Okay. So, with that being stated, let me also bring forth what we've been talking about lately, which is our National Treasury Trust Program coupons. So one of the empresses did the Red Lobster demonstration, and when she went to do the Red Lobster demonstration, they brought up a coupon code. And so what we want to do is, regardless of the outcome of your demonstration, and of course these demonstrations from the testaments from our last call, our last Congressional Assembly, the demonstrations have been successful overall. If you go and the demonstrations and something happens with the demonstration to where it doesn't work the way that you saw it working, listen to what they tell you. Listen to what they tell you, because what they tell you is always going to be a hint about how to make it work. Okay? So a coupon code was brought up in that situation, and so what we want to do is put, we've already included it on the coupon, and the link to that coupon will be under this video on Light Tajiri Bay channel on YouTube. AA 222141 is a not taxed code in all systems. Okay? It doesn't matter whether you're at a grocery store or wherever. That code there is the proper code for not being taxed. Okay? And we know that AA 222141 is in the Library of Congress as consular jurisdiction. Okay? And consular jurisdiction also applies to systems as well. Okay? So in the chat, someone put that they thought that AA 222141 was the copyright number for the Zodiac Constitution. It is the copyright number, but the copyright is universal. It's not a corporate copyright. It's a universal copyright. So all Moors have access to that copyright. It is that, but it is also the creditor code based on, when you look up the codes, AA 222, 141, 142, 143, 144, it talks about consular jurisdiction, okay, in the public laws. And so in public laws, that code will direct you straight to consular court. And so when you look those codes up, and at any time we can do that study, we can show you that really quickly. We won't take the time to show you that now. We would actually like for you to look in the public laws for that code, so that you can do the study and find out that it's going to direct you straight to consular jurisdiction. And so where consular jurisdiction is concerned, that code is also the State Department, the state ministry, actually. The National State Ministry notified the corporate State Department many years ago that number is a not taxed number. Okay, that code is a not taxed code because of the Zodiac Constitution. And we have restated the Zodiac Constitution, and we're going to continue to go through the Zodiac Constitution because between the 1920s when the Zodiac 1920s and 30s when the Zodiac Constitution was first written, and now between that time period there has been some language in the Zodiac Constitution that was changed along the way, and so we need to restate, reform, reconstruct it so that it is properly stated. And we've done that. We put it in red in all lowercase letters on the public record some years back, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And we are going to revisit. We need to revisit all documents to include the Constitution, and we revisited that recently here because the language has been, it has not been the language needs to be proper. It needs to be properly stated, and it won't be acceptable until it's properly stated. Based on what I'm seeing in the chat, they're saying that some have stated that it's not acceptable anymore. That's correct. Okay. For those who are using it, someone said they used it and it worked at a store when they went shopping at Canaan Land. Just like everything, and we've stated this before, everything will work for a little while, but then after a while, our ancestors will say, okay, time to up everything, time to continue rising. So what worked before, you're going to have to revisit it and properly state it, okay? Because receiving documents from a different system during a different era requires that we restate the document. So we will do that. We will continue to do that. We will also be restating the title alone has to be restated, not to mention the language in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. When our restatement of it is that it is the Holy Quran for the Moorish Holy Temple for Science, and then we, because we're restating all of the documentation, because again, over the years, we know that there was some infiltration and some attempts at subrogation and things like that over the years. We know that. We've seen it. It's on the record that there was some infiltration into the temples and things that were producing and holding these documents, and so we want to restate them properly. With that being stated, all businesses shall honor the living, natural, original, indigenous, national United States for America. We are the Moorish nation. We're still the Moorish National Republic federal government, all of the above. As we venture into commerce, lawful and legal commerce, and when we say legal, we mean legal in our state, not any other dead state. We want to do so properly. And we can see now that everything was already set up for us. We just needed to make it uncorruptible, incorruptible, unalienable, and inalienable. So we are preparing to with the National Trust Program and all of the programs that the National Trust puts forth. We're preparing to go into the territories to introduce the United States Treasury National Trust Program, because there are many, many, many who need it. Okay, in the coming months, we will be canvassing the land and affirming national trust between the corporations and the people. The corporations are nationalized by Article 3 Court, Universal Commercial Code 1 actions, and they work for the people. They do not serve, they work. Okay? All Moorish states shall go out into the hedges and highways and share the good news that our land is returned to the national, natural, lawful, peaceful people. The purpose of us going out there is not just to talk about ourselves. In fact, it's not to talk about ourselves at all. Not really, because really everything we say is going to be about us anyway, but just in a different way. There are many, many, many people who are suffering. There are many who need things, food, clothing, shelter, etc. And now that we are nationalizing all of our resources and things, we want to continue looking at the best ways to make our land what it should be. We have stated in the Holy Quran for the Moorish Holy Temple for Science, chapter 17, verses 10 through 12, it says, "Behold, for we, the Matriarchs, have risen from the dead with gifts for men. We bring to you the title for your vast estate. All power in heaven and earth is ours. To you we give power in heaven and earth. Go forth and teach the nations on the earth the gospel of all resurrection from the dead and of eternal life through Je suis. Je suis is French for I am, the great I am, the love of Allah made manifest to men." And so in the restated Holy Quran for the Moorish Holy Temple for Science, everywhere that you see the word Jesus, it will be uplifted to Je suis, which means the great I am, which is all of us. Okay? And we will continue to publish the properly stated books. Okay? So now, with that being stated, through these national trust programs, just one moment, let me bring this up. All corporations are now the resources to restore the people and the land to her glory. The people will be fed very well. Everyone will have domiciles. All needs will be met and exceeded over time. This is not an overnight process. It's going to happen over time, although that time will be quickly. Behold, we come quickly. We're here already. In preparation, we will begin notifying all subjects in our city offices, etc. All offices are notified hereby that we will be on the land and we will be putting forth these national trust programs. We are not looking for permission. since all that we do has already been approved by the people and the Congress, which are one and the same, we will be patient and make our movements one step at a time. We ask that the most needy on our land be presented with resources first. Ask not what your government can do for you, but what you can do for the people first. All who are on the front lines will have their perceived burdens removed as you do the public works. Okay, so as we do these works, we're going to be solving our own issues and things as well. And we will be, all of everything that we need to have done will be done. Okay. So with that being stated, just one moment. What I am going to do to avoid having to shut off the chat, because I will shut it off, so that we're not distracted. But instead of doing that, I think what I'll do is just make a few adjustments here. Just one moment. Because we are going to stay on task with all that needs to be done. We're going to stay on task. Just one moment. Just make sure. So because where we are right now and what is being brought forth right now is necessary given the state of what's happening on our land, okay, or how our land was left, okay. Just one moment. We got a whole lot of infiltration going on here, and we're going to get rid of it. So you're out of here too. We know that that's not true. He's gone on the public record stating otherwise, but we don't have to go there. So now, with that being stated, because these national trust programs are going to feed people who are having bank accounts taken, etc. Okay, I'm not sure if many of you are aware, but I know you are, because this is the most intelligent, most aware, most awake judicial body at Earth. Okay, we know that already. That other system is done, and things are happening over there where people are having, even the ones who thought they had a lot of fiat, quote unquote, are having it taken away. Any remnants of that is being taken, okay, and disappearing into thin air, right, going back where it came from. So we are going, it's going to be up to us, and it always has been anyway. So this is not anything new at all. We've been, signing for things and feeding people, feeding the whole earth this whole time. And so this time we just know that that's what we're doing. So what we're doing is we're going to, if you will note that back, how long ago? I guess it's been about 2 years since we introduced the red documents. And we want to go back, because when we introduced the red documents, we were literally allowing the ancestors to write through us as we were doing that. And now that we look back at those red documents, the 40-something red documents that we put on the public record, we see exactly where the ancestors were going. They knew that we were going to get to this point. So what we're doing, we're going to take a look at one of the main documents from that list of documents. That document is the Defense Production Act. But let's, here, let me pull that document up. First, let me say that what you're seeing on the screen, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, and we know that's been made to be a boogeyman. We know it's been made to be. It is a boogeyman when it's done by anyone other than us. But since we are the living, the Defense Production Act is one of the supporting laws that we have enacted, not theirs, ours. We put that in the red documents. We rewrote it. We properly stated it in the red documents, and we'll show you that in just a moment. But I wanted to show you what gives us support. We are the authority for the National Trust Act. But this Defense Production Act, let's just take a look at it really quickly. Use of Defense Production Act authorities to support Homeland Security programs. Ours is not an act, it's the law. But we'll go back to that in just a moment. I wanted to show you where it came from first and then what we've done with it. The Defense Production Act is the primary source of presidential authorities to expedite and expand the supply of materials and services from the U.S. industrial base needed to promote the national defense. DPA authorities are available to support emergency preparedness activities conducted pursuant to Title VI of the Stafford Act, protection or restoration of critical infrastructure, and efforts to prevent, reduce vulnerability to, minimize damage from, and recover from acts of terrorism within the United States. Now, we know that where we're concerned, we use different language in our Defense Production Act, or Defense Production Law. But what this Defense Production Law that we have instituted does is similar to this, so let's look at it really quickly. It requires, that means it's mandatory acceptance and preferential performance of contracts and orders under DPA Title I. Provide financial incentives and assistance under DPA Title III for U.S. industry to expand productive capacity and supply needed for national defense purposes. So what we're talking about is any industry, the food service industry, the uniform services industry, any industry at all, they are required to accept and to perform in the interest of national defense. Now, we know we're not at war, we're at peace. This is a rebuilding of our sovereign infrastructure. Number 3, provide antitrust protection through DPA voluntary agreements in DPA Title VII for businesses to cooperate in planning and operations for national defense purposes, including homeland security. So, we looked at this and the ancestors said, write that down and then come back to it when it's time for you to come back to it. So what we did was we wrote it up. Just one moment. In red and all lowercase letters that all industry is required by law to assist and to provide whatever is necessary for our state, our nation, in order to continue our recovery. And when we say recovery, we mean everything is under our authority. So let's just take a look at the Defense Production Law. Let's see. It's document number 24 in of the 40 documents, document number 24. So let's take a look at this document really quickly. And this, again, is why it's so important, and we wanted to make sure that as many of you as could and would put these 40 documents, especially those who are at the other territories, such as UK territory, which I know Justice Kansu has put these documents on the public record, Empress Shasha, Empress Frederica at French Guiana, Justice David at Japan territory, and we have a couple of brothers at Japan territory, the brothers at Indonesia and China, and where else? All Moorish consulates at all territories, really, but we encourage as many Moors as possible to put these 40 red documents on the public record, because we stated above first in the heavenlies. That's what this red writing is all about. The Savior speaks in red, and then we manifest it here. As above, so below. Okay? So the defense production law that we put on the public record is in connection with Sovereign Chief Executive Officer, Sovereign Chief Financial Officer, Sovereign Chief Operating Officer for all companies and corporations and resources, period. And this was placed on the public record, let's see, it's been a while. I would have to actually look at the properties of this document to tell you when we placed it on the public record. We do have copies of this that have been, in fact, let me pull those up as well. Just one moment. This one is the defense production law. Let's pull that one up so that you can see also I believe it's this one right here. Here's what we're going to do because we're not going to be distracted. What we're going to do is I am going to, because we're not going to make this about any individuals, we're going to make, because we know better, what we're going to do is, just one moment. Oh. Just one moment. Let me make a quick adjustment. Okay. So now, we're going to stay right where we're supposed to be, right on task here. Here is the Defense Production Command, and it is, we have the lower courts, the constitutionally inferior courts, King County Superior Court, Pierce County, Thurston County Court, so the land courts, and again, they're land courts because we say they're land courts and not because of anything that's done by anyone else. We've placed liens on them, and they work for us and not the other way around, okay? This was done January 19th. So it's been about a little over a year that we put this, the ancestors said, write that down, put it on the public record, and then you'll revisit it, which is what they always do. And that's why I say that it's important that we put these things on the public record and then be patient. Okay, be patient and keep working. Okay, because we will, anything that's done and then we say, okay, that's not quite finished. If the ancestors say you did good, just now move on, because you'll revisit that again and you'll add more to it at that time. And that's what this is all about, Morris, is for us to continue to stay patient, keep demonstrating. No matter what happens, keep demonstrating, because the demonstrations don't have to be all the way complete from start to finish, or else we wouldn't even need to be here. What we need to do is learn the steps, because there are going to be others doing them, and we need to know exactly what's happening on our land with regard to when people come to our courts and they've done liens and things like that, and how we deal with that, and made claims and claims to land and all of this and that. We want to be sure that that we state properly the law and give due process where everything that has to do with us is concerned. So now, the defense production law, we have stated, it says here, we hereby invoke the Universal Sovereign Original Indigenous Defense Production Command, whereby all highest quality goods and services are prepaid. And we spelt services this way because we don't mean services as in dead corporate services. We mean works. Are prepaid by this de jure state government, and said goods and services shall be sent to the Empire State of Morocco fiduciaries, consuls, ministers, justices, and heirs by bloodline and birthright as commanded. And since then, we've added things to this and edited this some more, even since this time period of placing it on the public record, and we notified. And here's the thing about these notifications. When these notifications are not properly rebutted, an unrebutted affidavit stands and is the law. Okay? And so that's why the ancestors had us to go ahead and put it on the public record, put whatever else needs to go on the public record as well, and then move on. Keep working, because you'll come back to that. The ancestors knew that there would come a time where people would go to a quote-unquote, what they think is a bank, and there would be nothing there even though they put something there. And so then how are they going to eat? How are they going to live? How are their heirs going to eat and live? How are their kids going to eat and live? Okay, so this is for everyone, what we're doing. And so with that being stated, let's see. That's a good question in the chat. It says if we are not at war, because we're not. Why do we need this, and who would we be at war with? We're not at war with anyone. What we're doing is, there has been a war. War just means confusion. And the war is no more. We're at peace. And so now what are we doing? Building up our lands, building up our resources. And first, that starts with building up the people. So there's been, quote unquote, proxy wars, but we're not at war. We never were at war. We've always been at peace. See, it wouldn't be fair if we were to war because we created all. And the master will always win in any war, so we just don't do it because it's not fair. It's just not fair. That's like a bear trying to war with an ant. And I'm not saying that others are ants. What I'm saying is it's not a fair. It wouldn't be fair. So we just don't do it. We never have and we never will. But what we do is exercise our ability to build and to rebuild, to store and restore. So this is an exercise in us being able to see that we have the authority to govern all resources, and that is what we're going to do. Okay? I appreciate I appreciate that. That makes sense. And I appreciate that you asked that question. You should bring it up if you have questions. And again, we honor all questions. It's this kind of stuff of he said, she said, and all of that. We don't deal with all of that stuff. We don't deal with that because it's not valid. But what we do discuss is questions that need to be answered. So with that being stated, these national United States Treasury National Trust programs are part and parcel of the Defense Production Law. Okay? Now, even according to the Universal Commercial Code, the Universal Commercial Codes specifically state that someone is held accountable for what they know once they've been properly notified. Okay? Let's see. Did I keep that up? I'm not sure. Okay. So with that being stated, again, we've invoked the Defense Production Law, the Defense Production Command, which is the law, with regard to any businesses. It doesn't matter who they are, but people need to eat. People need domiciles. And so now, Moors, in the territories, and I want to send a high honors to the Moors who have been circulating the national programs. Know this, Moors, the national programs are not just for us to enjoy. It's actually for people who need it. Okay? And we do know there are Moors who needed food and domiciles. We know that. And so what the ancestors have shown us is that we can take the documents, the papers, the flyers, because that's really what it is a flyer, for these national programs. And the way they showed it to me this past week is that we can print off the flyers, because again, we're looking at what our prophet said about going into the highways and the byways and the hedges and going about the earth. Go forth and teach the nations the gospel of the resurrection from the dead. This is a part of that. But people have a tendency to hear more so if their stomach is not growling, if their needs, basic needs are met. And so what we want to do is we're using the exact same strategy that the quote unquote Christians used. And again, we're not mad at Christians. We love the Christians because we're going to help them too. that they used when they came here. It is said that when they came here, that they began to feed the indigenous people. Now, I don't know how true that is, and in fact, I don't believe it, simply because we know our land. What happened was, from what we can see, and what we can see is when they came here, they're the ones who were hungry. We fed them, and they began to serve. And once they began to serve, there were things that we were doing before that we didn't have to do because they were here. And they were paying their way. So then after a while, we said, okay, we can just stop doing, because they're doing everything. And therein came the enactment of subrogation and of overthrowing. Just acts. We're still in charge. We're still the head. Always have been. So with that being stated, there are those who need things on the land. So we're going to continue to put these national trust programs in place. They're already in place. We're just stating them properly so that the people can eat. Because the people have been confused about who they are on this land, even. And that's why a lot of them are hungry. When I say them, I mean even the foreigners who came here and who are now subjects on the land. A lot of them are under the bridges and things living and out on the streets living. And we that's not what our land is all about. Okay? Those who are on the front lines, yes, you get to take full advantage of the national trust programs, because they need to see you doing it so they'll know how to do it. And they're gonna do it according to their status, but it has to be done. We have to show them how to do it. And that's what we're doing right now, Moors, is showing everyone how to go to these restaurants and state who we are, where they get their paychecks from, because they all get their paychecks from the Treasury. They all do. They're not being paid from corporate or sales or anything like that, because they're not making any sales. So right now, when you see things go out there like quote unquote PPP loans and things like that, where do you think that came from? To keep them going, all it was, that was the I don't want to say switch, because switch is not a good word. That was the putting everything right. Okay? That was putting everything in its proper place. And that's why many of them are still open, despite the fact that they had no one coming in, very little happening over the last 2-3 years. They had to go back to the Treasury. Well, the Treasury that they went back to is the right one, not the other one, not the dead one. And so now what we're doing is invoking. And again, we invoked the Defense Production Act over a year ago. Over a year ago. And so now what we're doing is saying, okay, people need to eat. So we're going to be going to the homeless encampments and things and passing out the documentation for anyone who wants to use it to get them something to eat, so that they can at least have food. And that's gonna do away with a lot of that. It's gonna do away with all of it by the time we've put out a few more of these programs. Okay. At the same time, what else are we doing? We're shoring up and making whole those who have retirement. those who have Social Security, those who have VA benefits, those who have disability benefits, those who have unemployment benefits. This is making those programs and processes whole. Okay, not the debt program. These are the creditor programs. Okay, and so this is the only way that anyone will be able to move forward in terms of where we are right now. Okay, we already know that all that other stuff is bankrupt. Now, the people that are having things taken from the banks, whenever they get that back, let me tell you what's happening, because some of them get it back. Some of them have it put back in there. But when they put it back in there, it's not what it was previously. It's not what it was previously. That is us looking at the example of what the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation is supposed to do. They're supposed to insure all deposits. Well, who's the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation? That's us. That is the original is us. The corporate part of it is under our United States corporation company, the creditor, not the debtor. So when you see the banner for amity and commerce at any place, okay, when you see the banner of amity, the banner for amity and commerce anywhere, depending on which way the wind is blowing, it's either going to be public or it's going to be private. It doesn't matter, because we invoke the public by being the public. So when we were looking and watching these banners of amity and commerce flying around, and we were saying, no, that's a war banner. It was a war banner because we were not in our proper status doing the proper things. Okay? Because guess what? They can't even war it when we are in our proper status. No one can war. That's why I say we're not at war. And when we say we're not at war, we mean that. Justice A. Sadula says he passed out some coupons at the elders' homes and the food banks. People are starting to open their eyes at New York territory. I am so grateful for you. Thank you for that, because we absolutely need to do just that. People need to be able to eat. And it's not just Red Lobster, it's any place they need to be able to eat. Because we already know that those entities, dead entities previously doing businesses, old age homes and retirement homes and all of that, they don't have anything to give. The people are half the time in there not even being fed properly. And that cannot be on our land. Okay, that can't be on this landmass. It's not going to be on this land. So that's what all these national programs are about. Moors, this is where we unify all across the land and we go out into the highways. And you don't have to even tell them unless you want to or unless you're led to. Now, if I'm led to, for example, the way the ancestor showed me this whole process right here is as I was going out and catching the bus, the public transportation, looking to make sure that the public treasury was being honored. And then they said, okay, these are the people who need the national trust programs. They need to know about this. And they were all people. They were all people, not just Moors. They were all people. And these days, it's predominantly not Moors, so to speak. but we don't want to miss anybody on our land. And so the ancestors said, notify, like we're saying, and these are the steps, Moors, notify those subjects in the office of city and state and all that. Just notify that we're going to be out on the land, and we've been notifying. You can see our notification for Defense Production Act, and when we say defense, we spell it a little differently, as you could see on the documentation. We spell it because we already know we're not at war, but what we are doing is banking our land. We're providing embankment on our land against those being lost, people being lost at sea through faulty, fraudulent commerce. So the quickest way to get the people into rightful commerce and to be using a rightful system is what we're doing right now. And this is also further manifestation of our money system in terms of dollarium, Swiss francs, and United States dollars, gold back. Because again, first and foremost, before anybody gets to digging in some ground, we're the gold. So look at us first when you're looking for gold. And don't go digging out there thinking that that's the gold. Yeah, there's gold out there. We're the living, breathing, speaking, talking, lawful government gold. First and foremost. So anybody looking for gold, look at the Moors first. But they knew that already. They knew that. That's why back in the days, in the 1871, 1872, 1873 time frame, in the early 1920s, when they said gold rush, they set up businesses and everything, and really, they would set up businesses in a place where it wasn't even any gold. There just needed to be Moors around the area. And then when the gold, quote-unquote, gold rush ended, they would supposedly move on, but they had left their capitalism behind and their contracts behind so that the military could follow up behind them. And now all we're doing is the same strategy, except we're not at war. We're peacekeepers. And to keep the land moving higher and being raised and uplifted, these programs are being put out on, and we have to do it, Moors. We must do it. No one else can do it. We have to do it. It has to start somewhere. The healing of the land has to start somewhere, and it can only start with the saviors, which is us, all of us. This is redemption. This is the saving of souls. This is how that happens. It's proper contracting, proper governing, and having that being done for a cause. Let me tell you that when we used to see these modern Europeans going into these cities and towns, quote unquote, where it was actually tribal Moors, and you would see them holding one of the Moors with a distended belly and his flies flying all over the Moor. When you would see them going there, all they were doing was saying, look at them, they're not competent to even put up a garden, so they won't be hungry. So we'll come in and we'll take over the land and make sure they eat and have water, because they don't know how to dig wells either. That's what was going on. And now we're looking here on the land, and it's our job to make sure that the land is what it should be. Because, see, even with all of the technology, we got restaurants everywhere. We got farms everywhere. We got land everywhere. We have food growing naturally everywhere. Blackberries, mushrooms, cherries, apples, oranges. We have food growing everywhere naturally. So then why are there hungry people? Why won't they just go and pull the food? Because a system was in place that wasn't erudite. It was an animal education system. So it's our turn. We're up. And so we're going to use the resources that are on the land right now, because this is the same thing that happened back in 1927, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, on up. This same thing that we're doing right now happened then. Except it was the Moorish businesses where we were saying, okay, we'll accept your fiat because we know y'all hungry and you need food, but we didn't realize that there was a switch going on. Okay, so this is in the interest of peace and in the interest of ensuring that no one goes hungry on our lands. And it's also to open up supply chains as necessary. It's to open up supply chains. Because the supply chains from previous that was accepting fiat is not accepting fiat anymore, so those supply chains have closed. However, the new ancient supply chains were always in place, and they're open. They're open. All there has to do is we have to ensure that they are utilized. Okay. So we'll start this way, and then Moors who have products. For example, we have our sea salt. We have our Moorish sea salt. At some point, we will be feeding our sea salt into the regular trade routes as well, while we're doing this work and making sure that everyone has food and shelter and clothing and things of that nature, using our national Treasury trust programs to do so. So are there any questions, comments, wisdom, suggestions about this program or about anything that we've put forth thus far? I believe, let me see, make sure, just one moment. And yes, over the next few days, weeks, months, etc., we will be introducing more programs. Right now, the food programs are to, from what we're hearing, that the food programs are what needs to be emphasized at this time. So Islam Empress.
So I've shared some coupons about. I've shared some with people in England. Now, I don't know what's been leaned or what's not been. They just need to go and try. I know that you talked about behavior sales sort of thing. Don't argue with them and anything like that, even if you go in there. But so I'm curious. Everything's been leaned. I understand that by the great overarching lean.
Yes, but at the same time, everyone needs to know the lean process, especially and particularly the Moors.
Right. I understand. I mean, it's not just Moors that I
right.
said what I'm going to say.
And that's exactly what was necessary, Empress. We are sharing these with everyone, not just Moors, everyone.
Everyone.
Because everyone needs to eat.
Exactly. I understand that. And so if it's, when you give somebody something and I'm saying go out there and try it, is there something, I know that, for instance, in my territory, and I did send a lien on grocery stores, and some places it's just so hard to dig through, even in the research, to find the real owner or parent corporation, or there's an investment. But anyway, I did the best I could, but like I said, I don't know who has been leaned specifically overseas. This program is a program for everyone, as you stated earlier, all people. All corporations are to participate.
Yes.
And for instance, the lien I did the other day, so then now
here's an idea: get a fucking job.
Just a
moment. Get a fucking job.
They do make me chuckle, I have to say. I mean, really and truly, if we were truly cretins and doing something that was of no use, why would they waste their time?
They sit here for hours. Hours.
Rhetorical question, of course.
Okay, anyway, go ahead, Empress.
So, of course, I've done the lien. I now need to do a court action on these corporations and just go through the usual process.
Yes.
And keep sharing, because, as you said, everyone, they are all supposed to comply. Okay. I'm just trying to, I'm just wanting to get clarification in my own mind. And also when you're sharing with others, particularly across the pond and far afield, I don't know what's there and what they're using and who's.
Yes. Yeah, so those who are there, and this is something that I find very, very beneficial in terms of what we're doing. This is what I find very beneficial in terms of what we're doing where others are concerned. The other people who use it, who are not declared Moors, they're also going to be, again, having to demonstrate where they are and who they are. Even still, they have to do that.
Correct.
And so it can only assist us. This is only going to assist even more so, because it doesn't matter who they are, they're going to be wondering, where is this coming from? Who is this? And then when they see the banner for Amity and Commerce on there, they will know.
Correct.
That it's actually the real people, the national government. Right. And because they need to eat, they're going to do their research. So this is going to cause the research piece to pick up significantly as well.
Exactly, and that's the same sort of thing with even the date being the new year. Yeah. I mean, it's all erudition. Yeah. Everybody's we're teaching at the same time.
Helping and teaching at the same time, Empress. That's really, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Yep. No matter, and it doesn't matter where they are, what lands they're at, because they were all flying that other, the banner for amity and commerce anyway.
Correct. Correct. It's
Yeah.
part of the awakening.
It is. It is.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful that the ancestors are giving us the ways to make our way easier.
Right.
Yeah.
The ways and means.
Yes. The Ways and Means Committee. Yeah.
That's exactly what popped into my head. That's what made me say that. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Ooh, Empress, and have you done? You know what they did? The Ways and Means, what they were about.
Actually, not really. I couldn't explain it to.
They worked in direct collusion with the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, to find as many ways as possible to colonize, basically, or to spread their message.
Isn't that something that popped into my head? Because what we are doing is the exact
same thing.
What goes up, what goes around must come back around.
Back around, yes. Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
I tell you, the ways that the ancestors have been showing about how this works, I'm just amazed. Amazed that everything is already set up. All we have to do is call it what it is and then use it.
And that's it. The word.
Yes. In the beginning was that word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Very, very, very. Empress, sometimes you and I are thinking the same thoughts at the very same time, many times.
Many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's spiritual. It's spiritual.
It is. It is. It is indeed.
Wonderful. Matonda Mamiki, thank you.
Isola. Isam. Any other questions, comments, wisdom, suggestions of any?
And yet she can't even get her brothers or the grandkids on her.
Let me. I don't even know why they do that, because they know we're going to quiet them. They know we're going to mute them. I don't know why they keep jumping out there like that.
Islam.
Islam. Just one moment. There's several speaking. The Empress first, please. Empress.
Islam. Okay.
Yes.
Islam, Empress. I just wanted to know, how can I go about help circulating the paperwork that you were speaking on?
One person has gotten a free car or a house.
Just
what
one
the
moment.
fuck is wrong?
Hold on for just a moment, Empress. Thank you. So you can the documents, pull the document from under the video and make copies of it and put it out there, or email it to as many. For those who, if for some reason you don't have the time or whatever to physically go out and hand it out to those who need food, just email it to as many people as you can.
Islam, peace and love. That's all I need to know.
Yes, Islam. That means that everyone can assist in this great national push to ensure that everyone is fed. Now, please, Moors, I would suggest that you please do both of them, not just the Red Lobster one, do the other ones also. There's another one in that same folder that will assist with all of the other restaurants, because the Defense Production Act means that, the Defense Production Law means that, just one moment, there's a little bit of something coming from somewhere. It's a little bit of a ticking or something. Okay. So this, where was I? What was I saying?
Islam, you were saying to pull both applications down.
Thank you, Empress. Thank you.
Islam.
Yes. So pull both of the National Trust program documents so that all of the other restaurants are covered as well. This is for food services or works, food works. So food for the people, okay? And so far we're having great success. I've only heard one instance where there was some pushback on the process, but aside from that, it's been success. So let's just keep that going, because we have to, and the more people that receive those, there will be. So I won't speak out what the outcome will be. I will let the outcome manifest. I'll let the outcome manifest. At some point, we will be doing the same thing or something very similar with all of the other industries. Okay? An example of this, one of the ones that we're going to do, one of the national programs that we're going to do is we're going to have one of the or all of the computer manufacturers to manufacture computers and cell phones to get them out to everyone so that we can all connect and move forward that way. They have to do it under our mandate. Okay, they have to do it under our mandate. And you can look back when there was something where, and the subject Donald Trump, where he was ordering ventilators. He had factories where, quote unquote, car manufacturers and things like that, he had them switch their stuff up a little bit so that they could produce these ventilators. Okay. What we're doing is the same thing. We're making it so that everyone can have what they need, because this is indeed a national emergency, but it's not emergency like that emergency. It's emergency like the word emerge or rising or coming out or growth or growing. So that's what the emerging is all about. We are emerging from sleep to awake, to wake, to not sleep, to eyes wide open. So we're just going to keep moving forward. And after a while, the people will be demonstrating so to where, we'll see more of the success that we've been seeing, And for that, we're grateful. So are there any other questions, comments of any wisdom from this Grand Congress? Let's keep moving. Coupons for housing, hotel. Yes, we are going to be doing housing, hotels, transportation, clothing, personal products. Yes, we're going to be doing national programs for all of that over the next weeks and months. Please be patient as we roll these out. We do want to get the food program up, and it's on the public record. We want to get it out there more. We want to be spreading that while we formulate and proclaim the other programs. So, with that being stated, if there is nothing further from this grand, illustrious judicial body, Islam. Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs, and we will be back here on Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 29th, Islam. Peace and grand rising to the heirs.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam, peace and grand rising.
Grand rising.
Islam, peace and grand rising.
Islam.
The produce 141 trust emergency fund. Sometimes it's good when you go to these stores to use it for tax free. There's forms for indigenous people. Sometimes you need to get the form and you can register for it to be used, or you create your own form or for their forms, and you can use it to register the 141 trust, so you can be tax deducted for free. Because some corporations only have for the indigenous people, what's called Native Indians, so sometimes you got to register the number into their corporation so it can use, so they can get it, so it can use. So something that will be done over here in Kinala, some stores we need to get the application form or get them the information so we can get tax free, and then they give us, we don't be taxed. So that maybe we need to collect some of the forms and we make them into our own style, or we can just give them the information. Don't
give the information. No, don't get no.
We just write the number on
You have
the trust number. Yeah, we do it. We just write the trust number on it and just give it, just hand in, and that activate our trust.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Yeah.
Islam.
Yeah. We don't own the Moorish temples.
Islam. Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. Islam.
Islam.
Empress.
Islam.
Indigo Balabe, North Carolina.
Indigo. Empress Indigo. It is great to speak with you. Great to connect with you. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm traveling to Georgia to meet up with my sister this weekend so we can get some documents out.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Tell your sister I said grand rising as well. Islam.
All right. Peace and love.
Peace and love to you, Empress, and safe travels.
Islam.
And we will adjourn in 5 until Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.